Tonight, I carry on our journey to platinum every main Assassin's Creed game. With Assassin's Creed Odyssey being the last game we platinumed, that means the next game on our list is taking place during the Vikings' invasion of England. We play as Eivor Wolf-Kissed and follow his journey from a young Viking to a feared reaver and raider as we fight to take over all of England, with our eventual aim to enter the halls of Valhalla. With 51 trophies required for the platinum, we will need to experience everything Valhalla has to offer in this 100 plus hour long slog of a game. This firstly includes us completing the 40 hour long main story. We then have to hunt down and assassinate all members of the Order of the Ancients. We also have to borrow Mjolnir from Thor, as well as steal Excalibur from King Arthur. As always, we have various combat related trophies to earn, but easily the longest and most tedious trophy has us completing everything in the game. No, seriously, we have to find every single one of the 782 collectibles in the game. Like, just look at the state of that map. This does take us from the frozen north of Norway to the green rolling hills of England, and even has us searching through Asgard itself for these collectibles. Lastly, before we begin, if you enjoy the video and want to support the channel, leave a like, comment and subscribe, and with all that out of the way, let's begin. The Saga Begins is our first main story trophy, and that is earned by completing the prologue. So our journey begins with a prophecy from a seer, and if you've watched Vikings, you know these guys just talk in riddles. This is when we meet a very young Eivor in the middle of a feast. During this feast, we get introduced to our father Varin, and I'm sure nothing bad will happen to him.
Are you sure about that?
Obviously, we have to bust out the greatest dance moves the 9th century has to offer. But after this, we meet our good friend Sigurd, who also happens to be the son of the king, and shortly after that, we have a quick conversation with her mother. But all this is soon interrupted as a rival clan led by Kjotve the Cruel has decided to attack us, which doesn't exactly go well for us, as we get to watch our father get executed like a coward, and then our mother gets butchered right after this. Thankfully, Sigurd is able to grab us and a horse to escape as he rides away from the burning village, but at least we're safe now. Well, that is until Sigurd decides to fucking launch the both of us off this cliff, so good job, mate.
I'm kind of retarded.
This does lead to us having possibly the worst day in human history, as a wild wolf just appears to be nearby, so it uses us like a chew toy. Unlike most children who would die here and become a story on the evening news, young Eivor has a touch of destiny about him and decides to plant this fucking axe in the wolf's head. This does get us the first trophy of the video for finishing the prologue. Who England is the next trophy we will earn, and that's for leaving Norway. Many years later, we join a slightly older Eivor as we manage to track down Kjotve, but things went tits up, so looks like we are about to be sold into slavery, is what I would have said if Eivor didn't immediately break free and start butchering everyone. It's either a touch of destiny, like I said, or this man has insane plot armor to still be alive right now. With the rest of our crew captured, we meet with Dag, another member of our clan, as we plan on saving the others. We do this the Viking way by challenging Kjotve's right-hand man to a 1v1, which leads to him getting his head rang like a bell. As we touch our father's old axe, this leads to us having a vision where we see the big man himself, Odin, just staring at us.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
With the lads free, however, we set sail to head back home. Still haunted by seeing Odin, we visit Fulke, our clan's seer, and ask for advice. So she gives us this dodgy looking brew to drink, which leads to us having a much stronger vision this time where we see Sigurd.
Brother! What is this? There was no other way, Javi. Our fates are fixed.
I'm no expert in Norse mythology or anything, but I'm pretty sure Havi means Odin. We also see Sigurd has lost his arm in this vision. Just as we get closer to Sigurd, he gets yeeted away, and it's by none other than Fenrir.
I'm frightened, and I don't know what to do. I'm confused.
Sadly, we don't have a Hulk to deal with that problem, so we're pretty fucked when he appears. As we tell this batshit crazy vision to Valka, she explains that it means we will betray Sigurd, and no way. There is no reason I would betray my brother like that.
City boy! City boy!
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear as Sigurd arrives back from his adventures. So we rush to greet him, but we see he has brought some very familiar looking friends to Norway, and wow, we actually have assassins in an Assassin's Creed game. Our new hooded friends Basim and Hytham then decide to give us a hidden blade, so thanks for that one, lads. Later that night, speaking with Sigurd, he plans on leaving Norway, but before we do, we have an old score to settle with Kjotve. Once again, our hooded friends plan on helping us, as they say Kjotve is a part of the Order of Ancients, aka the Templars, so that's why they are in Norway to kill him, as Hytham needs to do this as part of his initiation to the Hidden Ones. Sadly for Hytham, this kill is ours, and once outside Kjotve's fortress, we challenge him to single combat.
I call a home game! Here! Against the Oathbreaker!
I will make you beg as your father begged, Wolfkiss. Squeal as your mother squealed.
Our duel doesn't exactly get off to the best start, but with years of 1v1s in Modern Warfare, I know it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So using our speed, we are able to dive and duck to avoid his attacks and then counter. Not happy with this, he just lifts us like a toddler. With Kjotve exposed, Hytham does his best Altair impression. After that fuck up, we have to finish the job, and finally we manage to avenge our family. As you will come to see, anytime someone is dying or a decision needs to be made, Odin will appear and just whisper the worst possible advice in our ear, but he does allow us to impale Kjotve, so he's not all bad. The rest of our forces launch their attack while we push forward trying to kill Kjotve's son, but he flees before we're able to catch him. This is when we meet King Harald, who is planning on becoming king of all Norway and asks for people to bend the knee to him. So Kjotve's son Gorm does try his best to suck Harald off here, but he gets told where to go.
Gorm, I name you Worm and call you exiled. Leave these lands by the next full moon, or I will feed you to the crows myself.
This is when Sigurd's father bends the knee to Harald, which Sigurd is slightly annoyed with, and for good reason, as that means Sigurd will no longer be king when his father dies. So with no future in Norway, Sigurd and the Raven clan look to England, as they have heard that boats are allowed to just land in England and you get given free food, clothes and homes. Fuck you, Stammy, you prick.
The return of the sausages.
Anyway, finally with our resources and clan gathered, we set sail for England. This does get us the trophy for leaving Norway. Oh, piss off, Layla, you boring, useless twat. We could follow Layla throughout the game, but honestly, I'd rather not bore everyone to death, so let's just pretend she doesn't exist until the very end. Deal?
Damn good deal.
After a long voyage, we finally arrive in England, and it doesn't take us long before we land at an abandoned settlement. Here is when Randvi, Sigurd's wife, shows us a map of England and says that this land is full of smaller factions or kings. So if we wish to take over England, we will need to form lasting alliances with each region. Firstly, before we can do that, we need supplies to expand our own settlement, which can only be earned one way. This does lead to us getting the Rampage trophy next, and this is for completing our first raid in England. Turns out the people of England back then kind of had a problem with strangers showing up on their shores and stealing and raping everywhere they go, so we do have to fight for these supplies. But me and the boys won't be stopped, however, as we rush around stealing whatever we can and loading them onto our longship. And as we grab the last of the supplies, we get the trophy for completing our first raid. Not happy with what we got, I tried to raid a monastery next, but sadly I was defeated by something called a door.
How long, please? How long, please?
Back at the settlement, we got our next trophy for creating our Joms Viking, which essentially works as our right-hand man while we are out raiding. So once created, we got the trophy, and everyone meet Kolf the Tyrant. With our new supplies, we got the Builder trophy next, which doesn't take a genius to work out what for. So as we built the museum, we got the trophy for reaching settlement rank 3. Our next main story trophy is for finishing the Grantbridgescire arc. What a fucking name. So speaking with Randvi, she does say that Sigurd has left to try form an alliance with the Sons of Ragnar. As we look at the map for the first time, we see there's a lot of places for us to try form alliances with. And this is essentially the main story. Go to an area, form an alliance, and get a trophy. And with this being a 40-hour long story, I will do my very best to just focus on the main story points. The first area we do pledge to help though is Grantbridgescire. After a quick haircut, we meet with Soma, the former leader of Grantbridgescire, until a Saxon called Wigmund took over the town. We then agree to help Soma take back her town in exchange for an alliance, and this pisses Dag off for some reason, and I'd be pissed off all the time too if my hairline was that bad. We kinda just gather outside the town and start trading insults with one another. Eventually, however, we just get bored and blow the doors open. Rushing in ahead of everyone else is cool and all, but we soon find ourselves outnumbered and waiting on backup. But being the helpful Viking we are, these Saxons lost their swords, so we just give them back to them. With the town cleared, we made our way to the Jarl's Longhouse, and it's here we come face to face with Gregor Clegane's ancestor. By some miracle, we do manage to overpower and just choke this giant out. With Wigmund escaping, however, we interrogate one of the survivors and find out where he went. Oh, and Soma also executes one of her lieutenants who was actually a traitor. This does lead to Odin whispering shit in our ear again like the sneaky little prick he is. But thankfully, us and Soma track down and kill Wigmund. I don't know if it's just because they both have their hood up, but why does Eivor and Odin look identical? With Grantbridgescire back in Soma's hands, she thanks us and also gives us a sacred arm ring, which is a symbol of our alliance. Here we got a trophy for finishing the Grantbridgescire arc. We then return to Randvi to fill her in on what happened. But we also plan on joining Sigurd as he tries gain an alliance with the remaining Sons of Ragnar. And there is no trophy for this arc, but it's kind of vital towards the story. As we arrive in Leicestershire, we come face to face with one of the most famous and feared Vikings in history.
Who stands before Ivar Ragnarsson? Are you Sigurd Drenger? Igor!
Eivor. If you keep that up, I'll stay in the floors.
So Ivar can just walk in this game, which is a pretty big change, but I don't mind because I couldn't be arsed carrying him around all game. He is still a maniac, however.
You're free, Saxon piggy, to run amok through the Mercian fields.
We then meet with Ubba, Sigurd and Ivar after that, and this is when we learn that their plan is to plant a king on the throne in order to control Mercia. Obviously, in exchange for our and Sigurd's help, we will gain another alliance. Now, see, the problem with trying to plant your own king is normally the current king has a bit of a problem with this, and it's soon spelled out to us that if we want his crown, it's only going to happen one way.
If you want my crown, Uber Ragnarsson, you must pry it from the hands of my bloodless corpse.
Back to the camp. Round up the men. We're taking Tamworth tonight.
Early the next morning, we launch our attack. Somehow we have drawn the short straw and end up on battering ram duty, and as we break down the gates we see Sigurd was inside the entire time. What the fuck? With the defences breached and being heavily outnumbered, we just butcher all the remaining Saxons we can find. Wow, that was a lot easier than I thought. By forcing the old king to hand over the crown, this allows us to crown Ceolwulf the new king of Mercia. With our part in this done, Ubba offers us an arm ring and an alliance, but never to be outdone, Ivar offers us an axe as well. After this, we did earn the Face My Might trophy, which was for equipping 8 abilities. So after sneaking inside a fort and killing a few guards, we found our 8th skill book. And once equipped, this unlocked us the Face My Might trophy. Once back at our settlement, we see that Ceolwulf's son, Ceolbert, has decided to join us for a while. Our next main story trophy is for finishing the East Anglia arc. Once again, talking to Randvi, she tells us about Danish invaders who have attacked East Anglia. So we are going to head there to help whoever is in charge. After another quick haircut and a few tattoos, we arrive and speak with the Stuart Finner. He says that a young boy called Oswald is meant to be the king of East Anglia, but hasn't married his Norse wife yet, so he can't be declared king.
That they don't know what the they're doing.
Deciding to meet with Oswald, we quickly learn he is a bit of a pussy at times.
Send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
But he does invite us to dinner that night with his bride-to-be and her family. Now Oswald might be a bit of a pussy, but he's got that 9th century riz as he gifts his Viking wife Valdis a sword. Her 2 brothers Brodir and Brothir despise Oswald and keep insulting the young lad. So being the helpful Viking we are, we stick up for him. And a bit of advice for anyone out there: if someone insults you, don't stand on a table directly in front of them. This does lead us very, very easily and quite quickly, beating the shit out of them both. The next day, however, we decide if Oswald is going to win them over, he's going to need some help. So we plan on teaching him how to fight, which honestly seems to be a bit of a thing where Vikings try to teach a Saxon to fight. But sadly for Oswald, he doesn't really learn an awful lot, and we just batter him the entire time. Never one to give up straight away, we decide to take Oswald on some shenanigans with the boys and raid nearby, which goes quite well. This is when we find one of the Danes sniffing around the town looking for an easy way to attack us. So instead of waiting around for them to launch their invasion, we plan on attacking them first at their hideout, which is an abandoned fortress on the coast. With their leader not inside, we sneak around the fort and kill any and all unsuspecting Danes inside. And wow, we actually got to do some stealth in an Assassin's Creed game for a change. Later that night, the leader of the Danes, Rued, shows up. Oswald does plan on negotiating with him, but Rued says fuck that and challenges him to single combat.
I accept. A fight to the death. East Anglia's the prize. Let it be heard.
Let me be your champion.
No. He called on me. Whenever you're ready, King of Sheepshead. I'm ready!
Right, Oswald, duck and weave, tire him out. Oh, for fuck's sake. I'll let Castillo take it from here.
Big man thing, yeah? It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
With our boy getting his ass handed to him, he looks to me for guidance, and there is only one piece of advice I can give him.
Grab his dick and twist it!
Sadly, Oswald chooses not to do the old dick twist, but instead gets flung around like an empty tracksuit. But to my surprise, he then bites Rued and drags him off the edge, taking one for the team. Not wanting to join Oswald in death, us and the gang race outside the castle, but with Rued's men still being a threat, we need to assemble an army of both Saxon and Norse to defeat him.
Call the banners.
Thankfully, with news of Oswald's sacrifice spreading throughout East Anglia, hundreds of Saxons and Norsemen turn up to fight for us. So while the Saxons distract them with a frontal assault, me and the boys will lead a kamikaze-style attack from the sea. Under the cover of darkness, we sail on Finner's ship, which is packed full of oil, which we plan on ramming into the side of the fort. Sadly, it doesn't take long for this to turn into a D-Day style landing, as we get peppered with arrow fire as we approach, leaving us several ships down. But as we get closer to the walls, this is when we light the ship and dive overboard. With the walls breached and the defenders overrun, we start to escort the battering rams to the gate. It's here where we flex our divine plot armor. As everyone else on the ram dies, we just carry on with our work. Reaching the final bastion of defense, this is when we see our boy Oswald and Rued survive their fall. Finally, we get what we wanted originally, and that's a 1v1 against Rued, who honestly gets destroyed. We do just kind of finish this fight off by knocking what's left of his teeth down his throat. With Rued as our prisoner, Odin creeps in again and says we should kill him, but I have respect for Oswald now and he wishes to spare him. What started off as a pretty shit week for Oswald has turned into the best of his life as he gets married and also crowned the King of East Anglia, so not bad for a pussy. This leads Valdis to giving us another arm ring and we have another alliance in the bag. This got us a trophy for finishing the East Anglia arc. As I try return to the settlement to start our next arc, we have to settle a dispute as we are the second in charge. This just pisses Dag off for some reason, and seriously, he looks like a white KSI walking around with that forehead. The Order is revealed as our next main story trophy, and this has us heading to London, as Hytham claims the city is overrun with members from the Order of Ancients. So if we clear them out of the city, we may be able to earn an alliance with whoever is in charge. So, looks like we're headed to London, boys. Before we do that, however, we just destroy Ranvi at a drinking game, and then after that we destroy her again. After a pretty long ride, we finally arrive at the gates of London. It's here where we meet Stowe, who enforces the law in London, but he also works for the governor, so if we want an alliance, we need his help.
2 seconds later.
And it's good to see that even in the 9th century, within mere seconds of entering London, we are attacked. As Stowe brings us to the governor's manor, we kind of see he's lost his head a little. This is when we meet his partner Urke, and with these two meant to keep the peace in London, they aren't doing a great job so far. Using our massive brain, we piece together the crime scene and work out that 3 figures killed the governor. And after finding a letter, we see that these 3 are Order members called the Leech, the Arrow, and the Compass. Who the fuck's coming up with these names? With us leading the investigation to find these 3 murderers, we search London from top to bottom to find any clues. This does lead us actually having to do some stealth in this Assassin's Creed game, which is honestly the first and last time, but we do learn the identity of the Leech first, who doesn't exactly stand much of a chance of stopping us. After that, we learn the identity of the Arrow, and he too suffers the same fate as the Leech as we plant the hidden blade in his neck. With 2 out of the 3 dead, we report our success to the duo, but no one can find who the Compass is. That is until his lads set the fucking building and half of London on fire, leading to us learning the identity of the Compass. Rushing out of the burning building, we follow Urke to the docks as our target is chilling on a nearby boat. Obviously, with Eivor not being the sneakiest man alive, we just rush towards the boat. And once we confront the Compass, our duel begins and doesn't start in the most convincing way. Once we regain our composure, however, we just smash our fist through his nose and out the back of his skull and finish it off with a Glasgow kiss.
Today, smash.
Sadly for England, this twat isn't the first man to ruin London, and he's definitely not going to be the last. But with London free from the Order for now, both Urke and Stowe thank us for our help and agree to come to our aid whenever we need them. Here we got a trophy for finishing the London arc. We then report back to Ranvi, giving her the good news. She tells us that Sigurd and Basim have both headed to Oxenefordscire in search for another alliance. Yet again, no trophy for this arc, boys, but it is vital to the game. Before we arrived, we did get our next trophy after this for completing our first Animus Anomaly. And funny name for a trophy, Ubisoft, not like your games are full of bugs or anything. Obviously, it wouldn't be an Assassin's Creed game without some stupid fucking Animus bullshit scattered throughout the map, and trust me, this game has tons of them. But these are Animus Anomalies, and we have to finish all these in the game to get 100%. But for now, I just focused on completing this one, and with each one we finish, we do see parts of a strange flashback. But this did get us the trophy for finishing our first Animus Anomaly. Once we arrive in Oxenefordscire, we ask around for Sigurd and Basim, and thankfully once we find them, Basim decides not to open our throat. This is when they tell us of a man called Gaedric, who, if we side with, will agree to an alliance with us, but the current ruler of Oxenefordscire has sided with King Alfred the Great. We then try to negotiate with the current ruler of Oxenefordscire, Edwin, but let's just say Sigurd isn't skilled at diplomacy.
Lady, choose your next words with care, for you see before you the future master of all England, Sigurd of the hungry Raven clan. Lay down your arms. Free my friend here and kiss my lordly feet. You will not get a second chance.
Sigurd, are you cracked?
Maybe put some points in the speech next time, Sigurd, because all this leads to us having to kill all of Edwin's guards while she flees. Fuck me, it's dark in here. But with Gaedric free, both Sigurd and Basim demand that he tells us where a woman called Fulke is, as apparently she's really important. Arriving at where Fulke is being held, we meet with the gang and Sigurd still refuses to tell us what's going on. This does lead to him beginning to question our loyalty.
Is there something that holds you back from embracing me as you once did? As your brother? Your family?
No reason at all, Sigurd.
Alright then, keep your secrets.
With the Saxons sleeping, we are able to sneak inside undetected to search for Fulke, and once we find her, we soon learn that she is also batshit fucking bonkers. She is talking about self-begotten ones and all sorts of crazy shit. This leads to Sigurd saying that he is descended from the gods and is certain to rule over all this land. Like, I don't know what Basim has been whispering in his ear, but he's just completely lost it.
Madness. Madness and stupidity.
Taking Fulke's lead, we follow her to a nearby tower as she has some sort of magical item to show Sigurd. As we arrive, we see Edwin has killed her men and stolen it, leading to Sigurd losing his cool with us. Just as we leave, however, Edwin shows up and Sigurd and Basim say they will betray Gaedric in exchange for the stone.
The stone is within our grasp.
We made a promise, brother.
We accept.
Done.
We do not!
Avon!
Not one to go back on my word, we back Gaedric and start butchering all of Edwin's men as she flees once again. This does lead to a massive argument between us and Sigurd, but then Basim starts piping up, so we put him back in his place.
Oh, wow!
Sigurd then explains that they never planned on betraying Gaedric, and sorry if you had just fucking told me that, I'd have gone along with the plan, but Sigurd then crosses the line massively.
You are not always to be trusted. Your passions overcome you. I know that. My father knew that. Your father knew it. You move with the wrath of Odin, but you do not have his wisdom.
Well, funny you should say that, Sigurd. Odin's been whispering shit in my ear this entire game, so maybe we are more alike than you might think. To get the stupid stone back, we enlist Gaedric's help to take Edwin's castle, but he does warn us that King Alfred is on his way, so we need to be quick. This does lead to like our 5th siege this game already, but we all know how this goes by now. With the drawbridge still up, I borrow a move from Unity to lower it, and once on the castle's walls, we just butcher every soldier who comes near us. With her castle taken and the defenders scattered, Edwin surrenders to Gaedric, so we head inside to find what Sigurd and Fulke were searching for. As we enter the room and see the stone, however, it seems to trigger a reaction, and maybe Sigurd was right all along.
I've passed through this doorway once before. But Sigurd, in a dream, not once, 1,000 times.
I don't understand. I don't know what's going on here.
Even Basim starts to notice that we also could be affected by these prophecies. Gaedric interrupts all this, saying that King Alfred and his army have arrived, so our only chance is to parley. As we speak with the king of the Saxons, he seems very confident that this will be an easy victory for him, so Basim suggests a trade of men to keep the peace. Fuck, I wonder who Sigurd is going to pick to go with the Saxons. Before he can pick us, Fulke storms past and says that Sigurd is a blasphemer and thinks himself a god. So obviously Alfred chooses him instead. Basim finally decides to be useful and says he will hunt Fulke down and learn where they are keeping Sigurd. As we return to Randvi, we see that Fulke has sent us a letter, and it's revealed that she was secretly a member of the Order of Ancients this entire time. Our next arc also doesn't have a trophy. Just hang in there, they'll be coming. But once again, I think it's pretty important to the story, as Ceolbert is negotiating a peace with a man called Rhodri, King of the Britons. Obviously, he asked for our help, and we agree to go. As we arrive, we speak with Ceolbert, but we also find Ivar has decided to tag along, as Rhodri is the one who gave him that huge scar, so Ivar wants revenge. We then meet with the bishop who is mediating the peace talks, as Ivar has captured Rhodri's brother, so in exchange for his brother back, he has agreed to peace. Well, that is until Ivar changes his mind.
Rhodri, I see you mocking me. I challenge you. Single
Ivar,
combat
no.
now!
Once he realizes the peace is a certainty, Ivar kills Rhodri's brother.
What do I have to do to make people fucking listen to me?
Is anyone surprised that this man right here fucked up the peace talks? Turns out, however, even with his brother being killed, Rhodri still agrees to peace, so we go to look for Ceolbert to tell him that our job is done and we can finally go home. But with Ceolbert nowhere to be seen and a trail of blood leading into a nearby cave, we follow the blood, leading to us finding our boy Ceolbert bleeding out with the Briton's dagger between his ribs. Once we carry him back to the camp, we see he doesn't even have the strength to muster any words and dies in Ivar's hands.
I'm done. Cut the show. I'm done.
Obviously, Ivar has a really rational and calm response to this. Yeah, that's a joke. We're taking the castle and killing Rhodri. Before the battle, we see Ivar has tattooed a bloody dragon on his face, as Rhodri is prophesied to only die by the hands of a dragon, so Ivar plans on becoming one. As always, we are back on battering ram duty, as we have kicked in more doors than the FBI, but this time it's oil pots, and we blow the gates off their hinges. Once inside the inner courtyard, we take care of the last few remaining guards and then drop the drawbridge. This allows Ivar and Rhodri to scrap it out. Somehow Ivar gives us a run for our money on who has the strongest plot armour, as he survives being lit on fire and then knocks Rhodri out. With the King of the Britons subdued, we take him to the top of a nearby hill and soon learn Ivar's barbaric plan for him.
Now comes the dragon to feed on his favorite meal, the blood eagle.
Ivar, is this?
The birth of a blood eagle is a sight to behold, my friend. First, I slice the length of your spine.
For some reason, this seems to give Odin a hard-on, as he brags about how cool Ivar is for doing this. But with that finished, Ivar wants to duel us to the death to become the greatest Viking to ever live. But we have no reason to fight him. Well, that is until he gives us one.
Poor Ceolbert. He barely said a word.
When?
I pushed that dragon dagger into his heart.
What?
Yeah, someone call the police, because I'm about to bully this fucking cripple bastard. After getting his shit kicked in, he just decides to change his mind and now he wants to talk. Sadly, he doesn't die heroically, as we just parry his attack, killing him. Not being a complete dick, however, we still do give him his axe so he can enter Valhalla. Thankfully, the bishop we met earlier becomes the leader of Sciropescire. He agrees to an alliance with us. Right lads, back to getting some trophies. Take My Hand is the next main story trophy we will earn, and that's for completing the Kent arc. Randvi tells us that Basim hasn't found Sigurd yet, but he has found the next best thing, and that's Fulke. So we plan to head to Kent to meet with him. We earned the Equine Attack trophy while travelling to Kent, and it's for assassinating an enemy from our horse. Unfortunately for these strangers, I rode over towards them and leapt off my horse, and once I assassinated one of them, we got the trophy. After tracking down Basim, in Kent, he has learnt where Fulke is hiding, so we will ambush her tomorrow. But tonight we talk with our hooded friend and learn more about him. And whoever at Ubisoft wrote this fucking dialogue should be in charge from now on. It's absolutely peak.
For me, home is family. But I have no family.
No one? Not even Hytham?
Parents, brothers, all dead.
I lost my parents when I was 9 winters alone. Without Sigurd, I would have...
Children. They bewilder you. They can cause you so much worry. Fill you with joy. Even stop your heart. And if you're lucky, they replace you. I had a son. I miss him terribly. Even now. He was taken from me. By someone I trusted. A friend, a mentor. A man who I would trust with anything. But a man you trust with anything can take everything. He took all I had.
Wow. Ubisoft still has some competent writers. Give them a raise right now.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
The next day we follow him to Canterbury, and once inside the church we slaughter the remaining Saxons Fulke has guarding the place. Deeper inside the church we follow a trail of blood to the basement. Fulke, being the generous lady she is, has left us a present: Sigurd's fucking arm.
Look how they mask with my boy.
Oh yeah, Odin also jump scares me here. This does get us a trophy for finishing the Kent arc. As we arrive back with no Sigurd, the world's biggest pain in my ass starts questioning where he is, but we tell Randvi all that has happened and that we need to rescue Sigurd before she starts sending us more boxes of him. While trying to actually get a long night's sleep for once, we awake to hear Dag screaming our name. Once we make it outside, we see the angry little man challenges us for leadership of the Raven clan while Sigurd is away.
No! We fight to the death!
I accept. We settle this now.
Ah! A final act of courage! Very well.
No one's surprised we start off by beating the shit out of Dag, and this fight doesn't last longer than 30 seconds. Once again, we aren't a dick and give him his axe, even though I was tempted to bury it into that massive forehead of his. After this, we quickly did finish the Essex arc, which was so unimportant. The home decor was the next trophy we got, and this was for placing a decoration in every possible place in the settlement, which honestly the hardest thing about this was finding each place we can put an altar or decoration, but after placing them all, this got us the trophy. Tranquility was our next trophy we got, and that's for completing a standing stone puzzle. These standing stones require us to look at them from a certain angle to complete, so once we learnt the pattern and find the right angle, we completed the standing stone, and this earned us the Tranquility trophy. Our next main story trophy is called Pioneer, and this comes from reaching Vinland. Turns out Gorm has followed in his father's footsteps and joined the Order of the Ancients, so we plan on sailing there to kill him. This has us sailing halfway across the world in search for Gorm, but once we land, we do get the Pioneer trophy. As we reach a vantage point, this land looks very familiar, but it's only when we speak with the people here we realise that they are Native Americans. Sadly, there isn't a really old boat builder hiding around here, but we do instead find Gorm talking into a familiar looking artifact, so it's time to get to work.
I'm not flattered. One reason only, I see.
Turns out Gorm was sent here by the Order to find and retrieve the Apple of Eden, and he did try his best to open it. We then find a nearby cave, and if you played Assassin's Creed 3, you know exactly where this is.
The probabilities lead us here. The calculations give us hope.
For anyone confused, this is the same first civilization cave Hatham found while in America, and the place where our boy Desmond died. Once back at the natives' village, Eivor decides to trust them with the care of the Apple of Eden, and this is the very same Apple of Eden that Connor finds hundreds of years later. Our next main story trophy is for finishing the Sussex arc, as Basim has found where Fulke is keeping Sigurd. Once we arrive, we speak with Jarl Guthrum, who is already a pretty famous Viking who rules over large parts of land, and both us and Basim try to recruit his help. Sadly for us and our allies, he fucks off the first chance he can get, so it's just up to us and the alliances we have already gathered to free our boy Sigurd. Kind of a tradition at this point, we stand outside the walls of the castle we plan on taking and exchange insults with those inside. And you guessed it, we are once again on battering ram duty until the gates are destroyed. But as we storm the fort, we turn into a demon, cutting down, beheading and hurling axes at all the Saxons in sight. We even duel Fulke's second in command and plant an axe firmly in his head. But as we ascend the castle searching for Fulke, we see she has rushed off to a nearby church. And it's only once we're inside that us and Basim find Sigurd heavily wounded. But while Basim stays with him, we pursue Fulke. Somehow she must have built-in night vision as she runs around in the darkness and only attacks momentarily. But just as she tries to burn us alive, we hit her with a Uno reverse.
Sigurd is an ancient one, an Archon, Nephilim, Isu, call him what you will. He is reborn.
What do you mean by that?
As she tries to escape, however, the lads circle her, and this is when we deal the killing blow. While dying, we continue to beat the absolute shit out of her some more until Odin tells us to wind her neck in. This is when we see Sigurd's mind has finally been opened or freed to something much bigger. Once the battle is over, we trust Basim to return Sigurd home. This got us the trophy for finishing the Sussex arc. Finally back home, we speak to Sigurd, and let's just say it's not the same Sigurd we left Norway with.
Born of gods is who I am. A lord of war. A Roman Mars. I know who I am. I know my destiny. And you will not hinder me!
After that, we pledged to help Jorvik, which has 0 main trophies for us to earn and doesn't really add much to the story, but we did earn other trophies while we were there. The first of these being the Silent Viking trophy, which we got for assassinating 10 enemies in a row without being detected. Stealth isn't what Eivor is known for, but we had to sneak around Jorvik quietly killing enemies, and with the 10th enemy assassinated, we got the trophy. Ultimate Refinement was the next trophy we unlocked, and this was for fully upgrading any piece of armor. So I then spent a fuck ton of resources upgrading my werewolf armor. What a name, by the way. But once fully upgraded, this got us the Ultimate Refinement trophy. The last trophy we got while in Jorvik was the Full Mastery trophy, which we got for unlocking a mastery skill. As you can see, the skill tree is bigger than my family tree, but once we complete a full section, we unlock 1 mastery skill point, and once we use this got us the trophy. Our next few areas have 0 trophies attached to them as well, but we do meet some pretty cool characters and gain powerful alliances. Firstly, we headed up north to meet with Halfdan the Black, King of Northumbria and son of Ragnar. But once we arrive, we are ambushed by Picts and things aren't looking too good for us. That is until King Halfdan the Black shows up, and the last person I seen wield a hammer that well was Thor. But yeah, this entire arc just has us helping Halfdan drive the Picts out of England and back to Scotland. Oh yeah, we also helped burn a man to death in some sort of pagan ritual, just the classic 9th century stuff. But this is why this game has a 40-hour long story, just lots of pointless things adding up. Finally, back to some trophies as we earn the Enemy of My Enemy trophy next, as we got a letter from a so-called enemy of the Order who wants us to help clear out Winchester of the Order of Ancients. So, looks like we're off to the capital city. Once we arrive, we speak with a priest, and thankfully there's no altar boys nearby, but he does agree to bring us to our mysterious ally. Turns out it was Alfred who actually invited us here to talk, as the Order of Ancients want him dead. So he gives us 3 names: the Gallows, the Quill and the Sow. who we must kill. This won't gain us an alliance with him, but he does promise us a metric shit ton of gold. Thankfully, these members aren't as secretive as their London counterparts, as we know who they are straight away. So while the gallows is giving a speech on stage, we tickle his jugular vein with the hidden blade. Yeah, no word of a lie, when I went to kill the quill, they were just already dead, and that just left our last target, who we killed while he was within striking distance of King Alfred. Obviously, once we done our job, Alfred says, "Psych," and then just leaves surrounded by his guards while we leave with no money and a massive bounty on our head. But this did get us the trophy for finishing the Winchester arc. Our next main story trophy is for finishing the prophecy storyline. This has us speaking with Sigurd. In his weird godly manner, he wishes to return to Norway and enter Valhalla. So it looks like the boys are heading home. As we arrive back in Norway, we are sailing for hours and hours on end, with only Sigurd giving us vague directions, until eventually we arrive in the middle of nowhere. Us and Sigurd then climb the mountains, and following his lead, we soon find a cave. Finally, some of Sigurd's mad ramblings pay off as he speaks in an unknown language, and this activates an elevator bringing us deeper underground. Our duo then believe that they are seeing the Tree of Life, but I've played these games long enough to know some Isu bullshit when I see it. As we get closer, we soon see Valka's mother, who disappeared stuck in this weird machine.
Oh my god, stop bro, I'm stuck! Can you help me?
Sigurd also just enters the strange machine, and while we try to figure out a way to help him, we get impaled and dragged into the Ur as well. As we wake up, we find ourselves in the hallowed halls of Valhalla, and we even find Sigurd and Savala here. But enough with the chit-chat, me and the boys have to spend all day killing each other. As we take to the battlefield, we find ourselves insanely stronger than ever before as we cleave people in half with one strike. Sigurd isn't as lucky as us, as he manages to get his arm chopped off yet again. Yet another day goes past, and even Eivor is starting to question this place, as there's just something not right about it. The next day, we even sustain a grave injury. Just like Odin, we lose the same eye as him, which just adds to the similarities between us. Finally, after several days, we manage to speak some sense into Sigurd, and he agrees to leave this place with us. But as usual, just when things go well, Odin appears and puts us to sleep. To make things even worse, Odin just takes all of our drip because he's a little bitch. But he then tries to explain that everything we have earned has been because of him guiding us, when in reality we have ignored his advice at every step. This does lead to a fight, but I'm not dumb. There is no winning this. So as we try to flee, he somehow has the force and just pulls us back towards him. I then toss the axe to one side and sprint for the exit, and with the help of Sigurd and the others, we do manage to cast Odin from our mind.
2 seconds later.
Out of the frying pan, however, and straight back into the fire, as once we leave, we see Basim has a knife to Sigurd's throat.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
This does have us dueling Basim, but in reality, we're buying time for Sigurd, as once we lure Basim into the middle of the machine, Sigurd activates it and Basim gets stuck inside the strange machine. Our duo finally have a minute to sit down and talk like normal people, and Sigurd does agree to come back with us, but he grants us the mantle of Jarl of the Raven clan. This does earn us a trophy for finishing the prophecy storyline. This is when Sean and Rebecca then explained to Layla that when Desmond took one for the team and saved the world, the machine he triggered is still activated, so we need to turn it off to save the world. Armed with the staff of Hermes, which grants immortality, Layla enters the machine and fucking drops the staff. Well done, retard. Inside the machine, we find Basim has just been chilling here the entire time, but he hasn't been alone, as Layla speaks with someone called the Reader. But it's really Desmond who has been stuck in this machine trying to figure out how to save the world. Basim manages to trick Layla into staying, and they trade places, with Basim leaving the machine and using the staff of Hermes to fully regenerate. And I would like to take this chance to apologise to Basim for every bad word I've ever said about him, as removing Layla from this and all future games is the greatest thing he has ever done.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Back to Eivor, our next main story trophy is for finishing the Hamtunscire arc. With this being the last part of England we need to capture, all of our allies will be there. Once we arrive, we speak with Soma, who tells us that Alfred and Guthrum are negotiating a peace. Turns out Alfred has paid Guthrum to leave his lands, but Guthrum is kind of like, no, I want your throne, which Alfred is never going to give up. So he warns us to leave his lands or we will end up like Uba, who he and his men killed.
Please! Please! No!
Yeah, that does nothing but just piss the boys off. So later that night we gather all of our remaining allies as we plan on taking the last Saxon stronghold. Obviously, being in charge of the attack, we get the lads all psyched up before the battle, but as we enter the stronghold, all we find is Alfred's right-hand man alone in the church. Before we can torture him for information, however, he slices his own throat open. Leaving the church, we see that this was a trap.
It's a trap!
As an army of Saxons has arrived and completely outnumbered, Soma is the first to fall as she gets cut down. Lightly annoyed that we didn't get the smash before she died, we take our anger out on the Saxon soldiers. Sadly for us, we lose yet another one of our allies, as not everyone is used to fighting a 6v1, and even I am struggling as I get spit roasted by several spearmen at once, so this must be what Bonnie Blue feels like every day. Eventually, after hundreds of deaths, the Saxons retreat and Guthrum is pretty happy with himself until we tell him that Soma is dead. This does complete the Hamtunscire arc, however, and gets us our trophy. Finally, after a 40-hour-long story, we managed to conquer all of England for us and our allies. Now, the main story may be finished, but we also have both the Asgard and Jotunheim storylines to finish, which I will do my best to fly through, and I will try to explain what's going on because it's still pretty confusing. Before we do that, I did also grab Gungnir, which is Odin's spear, and I think it's very fitting for what we will be doing next. In the footsteps of the gods was our next trophy, and that's for finishing the Asgard and Jotunheim storyline. To do this, we speak with Valka again to try make more sense of the visions we have been having, so she gives us another elixir, and just like the last one, this has us passing out. As we wake, however, we find ourselves in Asgard, and we play as none other than Havi or Odin, which explains why Sigurd kept calling us Havi. But as Odin, we get told of the prophecy of Ragnarok by the Norns, who weave everyone's fate, and they say ours is to die by a great wolf in the final battle. I really wonder what wolf they're talking about. I also fucking yeet myself off the top of the tower, which honestly was great fun. Speaking with the other gods, they tell us that the Jotuns plan on attacking Asgard, so we need to organise the defence. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Tyr looks a lot like Sigurd, and Thor looks very similar to Halfdan.
I'm so damn confused.
So basically, for anyone still confused, and I don't blame you, Eivor is the reincarnation of Odin, Sigurd is the reincarnation of Tyr, Halfdan is the reincarnation of Thor, Savala is the reincarnation of Freya, Basim is the reincarnation of Loki, and Harald is the reincarnation of Freyr. With the battle approaching though, we have to choose someone to fight with, and who better than the god of thunder himself, Thor. Meeting the Jotuns on the Bifrost, we start to wipe them out with Gungnir as it's slightly overpowered, and Thor also gets in on the action. Thankfully, we managed to close the door between the realms, stopping them from evading. And yeah, Loki was meant to guard this, but as usual, he's got some hidden agenda. With the battle over, Tyr also managed to capture a wild wolf that snuck its way into Asgard. Obviously, with us being fated to die by a wolf, we are slightly jumpy, and this is made 10 times worse when the wolf breaks free, so we just beat the shit out of the little fucker. Before we can kill the beast, Loki intervenes, and he explains that the wolf is his son. Yeah, I don't even want to know how that's happened. Thankfully, Tyr takes the wolf away to live on a secluded island. We did earn another quick trophy here, and that was for reaching power level 280. So after completing like 5% of this massive skill tree, we hit power level 280, and this got us the trophy. In an attempt to stop Ragnarok, we head to Jotunheim to search for a solution. We do bump into Ratatoskr here, who we have to beat in a fighting contest. From a talking squirrel to a frost giant, we speak with a Jotun to try and stop Ragnarok, but we have no luck. although we do hear a very familiar voice.
Who are you?
I'd recognise that sexy Italian voice anywhere. We did come here to stop Ragnarok, but instead we just clap some frost giant cheeks. But our father does learn about this, which isn't good, so we do spend several minutes beating the shit out of him as well. After that, we see the famous scene of Odin giving up his eye for knowledge, but with one eye less and a magical rope to tie down Fenrir, we return to Asgard to change the prophecy, but let's just say Fenrir has gotten slightly bigger from the last time we saw him.
I wish you well, Great Wolf. But a fear still hangs over Asgard. The Aesir worry about your growing size and strength.
Good now. And what do they have to be afraid of? Old friend. I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me.
Yo, Hulk, any chance you can get over here right fucking now, please and thank you? Eir decides to really take one for the team here and sticks his arm in Fenrir's mouth as a show of good faith. But as we use the rope, Fenrir realises what's happening and flings Tyr around, ripping off his arm. This does lead to another battle with a giant wolf, and it does start off very promising, with us being able to continue to tie him up. But let's just say Eivor isn't the only one to get treated like a chew toy by a wolf, as Fenrir does his best to rip us in half, but luckily we manage to break free, and with one last struggle we subdue the great wolf. Thinking we have stopped Ragnarok, the Norns give us a vision showing how this was all for nothing, as we see Odin and the other gods witness Ragnarok. We also see them drink some sort of strange brew and then head out to confront the end. This gets us a trophy for finishing the Asgard questline. I decided to complete the last remaining Animus Anomalies, and this does earn us the Hidden Truth trophy. And again, it wouldn't be an Assassin's Creed game without some annoying puzzles to complete.
What the fuck is that?
But with each puzzle finished, we see another part of the hidden vision. So we carry on finishing all of these incredibly tedious puzzles to learn the real truth. This is when we see Odin and the other Norse gods were actually Isu, and they used the machine to transfer their DNA, memories and consciousness into the human gene pool so they can be reincarnated later and survive the world ending. While the rest of the Isu head out to essentially die, Loki snuck inside and killed Heimdall and stole his mask. He then completed the same process as the other Isu, allowing him to be reincarnated as Basim. Here we got the trophy for watching the hidden video. Finally, with the main story really finished, I can get back to banging out trophies and not trying to understand what is going on in these games anymore. And what better way to do this than our next trophy, Disorder of the Ancients, which you guessed it, has us hunting down and killing all remaining members of the Order of the Ancients. Kick this off by hunting down and killing all of the roaming mercenaries around the map, which was very easy. But for the other members, we need to find hidden clues to discover their identity, which took longer than I would care to admit. This did have us doing a lot of killing and then listening to a lot of people trying to justify their actions, but I did manage to assassinate all of the less powerful members first. This left just 3 heads of the cult and the leader to be taken care of. And honestly, some of these guys are just chilling on benches or standing around doing fuck all, so they made for some really easy targets. With them all dead, however, Hytham receives a letter from a poor fellow soldier of Christ who has been leaking information to us all game, and this person finally wants to meet. So we arrive at the village they are staying in and wait for them.
Quite a step down from your former work, Lord.
As their guest, I volunteered to help with the daily chores.
Turns out Alfred inherited the leadership of the Order but disagreed with them wholeheartedly, so he had us destroy the Order with him helping us when he could. With them all dead, however, this got us the trophy. Our next trophy was for reaching settlement rank 6, which requires us to build every single building and upgrade them fully. This did require me and the boys to, borrow some supplies from time to time, allowing us to upgrade our settlement, and once out of supplies, we kindly repossessed the necessary materials to build more. With the last of the buildings upgraded, this did get us the trophy. We then headed up north for our next trophy, Is There Anybody Out There? And yes, there is a lot of angry Scotsmen out there. For this trophy, we had to relight all of the braziers along Hadrian's Wall, which is honestly one of the few chill trophies in this game, and it just highlights how amazing this game actually looks. With them all lit, however, we got the trophy. The next trophy I aimed for was the big one, and that's for completing all territories, with each region having chests to loot, side missions to complete, and artifacts to collect. This doesn't look too bad until I zoom in. Look at the fucking state of that. We have to do this in every single part of the game, and this will be where the majority of the remaining trophies come from. The next 3 trophies we unlocked are all related to one another, as they have us searching for Thor's artifacts. So, being one of the side missions we need to complete, we search for a daughter of Lerion. But as we arrive, all we find is some poor fella hung up like a piñata, and this area reeking of black magic. This is when the first of 3 witches appear, and she promises us an agonizing death. Sadly, love, I still have a lot of trophies to earn, so I don't plan on dying just yet, and we managed to make quick work of her. This got us a trophy for killing a daughter of Lerion. We had to do this 2 more times to loot Thor's armour from each of them, but we also take their weapons. And after following some clues, we arrive underground, and using all 3 swords we took from the witches, we open a hidden passage. Inside we find tons of loot, and none other than Thor's helmet, which, once we take, gets us the godly reward trophy. With Thor's helmet and armour equipped, we are able to unlock our next trophy. As we return to Norway once again, we find none other than Thor's hammer.
Jonathan?
With Jonathan in our hands, it does seem like we are worthy to possess the power of Thor, and this got us the trophy for finding Mjolnir. While in Norway, I decided to get our next trophy, which was simply for sliding for 150 meters in the snow, which can only be done on this part of the mountain. But once we hit 150 meters, we got the trophy. Not finished with Norway just yet. We got the Sea Horse trophy next for swimming 3 kilometers with our horse, which is quite amusing as I have traded my horse in for a giant wolf, but I just set off swimming around Norway, which does result in me getting bucked off from time to time and having to swim after the wolf, but eventually we did get this trophy too. Road Rage was the next trophy we got, and this was for ramming 5 boats in under 2 minutes. This was just me taking out my anger on how long this game has been. But after destroying the 5th boat, we got this trophy as well. The trophy after this was another strange one, and that's for killing 3 enemies while on fire, while they are level 40 or above. Seriously, whoever comes up with this shit must be fed some mad drugs and just told to think of 51 trophies. After killing the 3rd enemy though, we did get the trophy. The trophy we got after this was another genius one, and it was for running through 30 breakable objects. Sadly for these poor homeowners, the target of my anger was their poor fences, which I just kept running through. But after destroying 30 of the fences, we got the trophy. Our next trophy was a pretty simple one called Not the Norse You Are Looking For, and this is for sneaking past guards while blending in with monks, which I don't know how we done, as Eivor is heavily armed and armoured and also tattooed from head to toe. We did do this and get the trophy as well. Flying Eivor is the next trophy we got, and it was for getting thrown 30 meters. Luckily I found this fat fella chilling up here and thought he'd be perfect for this trophy. Sadly on his first throw he managed to not toss us off the edge somehow.
24 hours later.
I swear this guy's doing it on purpose at this point.
1 eternity later.
Finally, after 15 minutes, Fatty managed to throw me off, and this got us the Flying Eivor trophy. Still grinding away at the 100% completionist trophy, we got up to all sorts, like looting Lagathard's axe from a chest, and also worshipping an altar of Dobby. After that, we did get the Dreamcatcher trophy for destroying 10 cursed. These are more things scattered around the map that we need to destroy. and after we destroyed the 10th one, this got us the trophy. I then followed this up by finding more secret tablets that are needed for another trophy later on. Shortly after this, we did earn the Equilibrium trophy, and this is for finishing 3 of these rock stacking challenges, which shouldn't be too hard. Even children can stack rocks. Right, that's a pretty solid foundation we have here. Just time to add the final rock. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's now daytime. It's been taking me that long, but once again, we are at the final hurdle. Oh, I'm going to kill myself. In game. Finally, after so much trial and error, and 2 hours later, we finished this puzzle, which got us the trophy for finishing 3 of them. I decided to calm myself down by finding Roman artifacts, which only seemed to piss me off even more. But everyday life is the next trophy we unlocked, and it's for completing 10 side missions. This does have us doing some strange things like saving a fox from a fire, and we helped this man get rid of his headache, eventually earning us the Everyday Life trophy. For our next trophy, we had to release a firefly in our settlement, so I ran around England like a moron searching for one and finally found a firefly. Once we arrived back at the settlement, we found a nice spot to release it, earning us this trophy. Master Hunter was the next trophy we earned while chasing 100% completion, and it's for killing all alpha animals. This does have us killing things like a massive boar, which are pretty dangerous, just ask Bobby B. We also kill other creatures such as a massive cow and a great wolf. Oh yeah, I also stacked some more rocks. But we got the Master Hunter trophy after killing the polar bear. Again, our search for 100% completion has me learning and mastering the game of Prologue. But this also earns us the Prologue Champion trophy, which we unlocked next. In between games of Prologue, we also finished these side quests where we take a crazy amount of drugs and solve puzzles, or it had us beating the shit out of imaginary bears. And it's around this time where I started to get really good at stacking rocks.
Rid the universe of your filth. Why don't you just die?
Thankfully, Prologue was a lot more relaxing than the rock stacking. Eivor, just throw the fucking dice. What is wrong with you? I am so sick of this game. Finally, we did get the Prologue Champion trophy. Food catch was the next form of torture we endured, and we had to catch every single fish in the game, with there being 19 different fish scattered across England and Norway. And I'll be honest, some of these fish did put up quite a fight. Once we caught them all, we did get the trophy. After an undocumented number of hours spent in England, we finally got 100% in all areas. But for the keen-eyed viewer, you will notice no trophy. Yeah, that's because we have to 100% Norway after that. While in Norway, we did get our next trophy, which was for finding all Roman artifacts. So once we turned them in, we got this trophy as well. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, we have to 100% Asgard and Jotunheim as well, just to add to my misery. We did get the Slam Master trophy while in Asgard, as I had been completing all fighting matches throughout the game, with our final opponent, funnily enough, being Thor, which just becomes us and Thor slagging each other off. Once we won the match, we got the trophy. I then quickly grabbed the old school treasure hunt trophy after this, which was for collecting 5 treasure hoards. This was just me using my faithful assistant Google to find where each of them were, and once we got all 5, we unlocked the trophy. Yeah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but that's the next trophy we unlocked, and it was for finding Excalibur, the legendary sword of King Arthur. So after finding all those little tablets earlier, we finally located where Excalibur was hidden away, and we then returned the tablets one by one. This grants us the ability to pull the sword from the stone and also rule England, but it does more importantly give us the trophy we are after. Finally, after so many hours, our last few remaining collectibles to find were located in Jotunheim, and of course, the last thing standing in our way of the Platinum Trophy was none other than these stupid rocks. But after spending longer than I would care to admit, we finally finished it, getting us the Completionist All the Way trophy. This got us the Platinum Trophy for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So everyone, that was the Assassin's Creed Valhalla Platinum, and it's easily the most tedious Platinum trophy in the franchise, with a 40-hour long slogfest of a story, plus another 50 or 60 hours of just pure cleanup. It's easily the most annoying game I've done so far. Thankfully, our next game, Mirage, is only a 25-hour or so Platinum, allowing me to recover what little sanity I have left. Thank you all so much for watching though, and hopefully I will see you all in the next one. Bye.